Hi, I'm Aneeta Xavier, and I will be going over the presentation. I worked with Brad Smith, who is unable to make it, so I will go over the demo portion. So, as a member of Reformer Pilates, which we would say is a cult, as seen in this popular SNL sketch with Kristen Wiig, I can definitely say that it completely changed my life. I mean, I started when I had an ankle injury, and I ended up going to over 800 classes and I met so many different people. There were women in their 80s who were more flexible than I was. There were people focused on spinal rehabilitation. There were people trying to get into shape, new mothers. And every class, we would get onto this contraption that is called the reformer. And honestly, it should be called a medieval torture chamber because it looks like it should be torturous, but it actually works really well for your body. And every class has anywhere from 10 to 14 people per the 10 to 14 reformers in the studio. And so the cost is so high because of maintaining each one of these reformers individually. Because if you fall on one of these because of the equipment, well, that's a lawsuit. And so for people new to reformer, the movements are all done on the carriage. And, the cost is that high to make sure that there are instructors who can make sure that people just don't fall. And so, even though I am in the cult, I could not ignore some problems that I was facing every time I'd be in class. And those problems is that honestly, like Pilates is one of the most expensive things I've ever taken. Average classes are anywhere from $32 per class without a membership. And unlimited is like, I think 200, sometimes 300 classes per month. And that is only based off of, in Texas, which is where I am. And I'm sure it's more expensive on the East and West coasts. And even if you miss a class, you still have to pay. So every missed class is anywhere from 20 to $25. And even if you try to save money and get a package, if you miss a class, you still end up getting charged. And so, not to mention, since there are that many people per class, the classes are full body every day. So there's that. And the instructors aren't really looking at the people, they're more focused on going through the entire class. And so there have been situations in which I was like doing an exercise and I noticed that all 13 other people, like everyone's form was all askew, but the instructor was more focused, I guess, on just, going down. And I'm not saying this is every instructor, it is all dependent on instructor, but form is super important. And, one air aspect is that women with dance backgrounds, they may be able to check on this more, like they might be able to understand the form better, but what about the rest of the population, right? And so another aspect is injury modification. And so this came about when I started getting shoulder injuries. And so I had to modify the exercises myself just because I couldn't really get that guidance. And so with all of that, I was wondering, wait a second, is it just me? And so I decided to go to three different studios that I was familiar with in the DFW area. And I would talk to women as they left the Pilates classes. And I asked them, what are the top three or what are the top issues that you face with being a Pilates student? And so out of the 30 women and one man, and based off of the frequency of each issue that was raised, cost was the number one out of everyone. And then second, of course, was the form and just the instruction varying based off of instructor. And then the last one was the modification. And so after they told me that response, I showed them the app and then they had them just, play around with it and ask it questions. And after that, I just asked, okay, do you like this workout? Do you like this app? And so all 31 said that they enjoy the exercises that came from it. And so I sent them the link to that app. And so this was around 2 weeks ago, and I have been hearing back from individuals saying that they're still enjoying these workouts. And so they cited the quality of responses, and they also liked how they could augment the classes and save money as well if they couldn't make a particular class. And so with all of those responses, I started to wonder, like, how about I show the demo so you can tell and you can see exactly what these individuals are looking at. So if we go to the demo, let's see. I asked it a couple of questions. And so I should say that, I'll go into it a little bit later, but this is sort of a basic fine-tuned model that we used, and we're using this on Chainlit. And so it immediately opens up with like introducing you to, or welcoming you rather, and then just telling you what you can ask it for. And so I asked it to give me a 20-minute workout, and I just said, I have hip issues. And so it decided to give a gentle 20-minute workout, and it literally just said, okay, let me repeat what I said, but it's focused on that. And what's really cool about these workouts that it creates is that this is something that you could be doing. This is pretty gentle for yourself, and the instructions are pretty good as well. And it's also exactly 20 minutes. So if you add it up all together, it is exactly 20 minutes. So it's good for that. And then even if I had like, an advanced workout focus on the legs, it would give me something similar where it gives me a warm up and also just, seated and lying leg presses. And so if we go to the last one that I want to show, if you have any equipment, so like I just wanted to show a yoga block and I said I wanted to do a core workout. And so it decided to create a gentle core workout and it gave me like, you can do a supported bridge. You can do like a dead bug. And so there are like I've been using this actually myself. I quit my reformer subscription just to focus on trying this, and it's been like really great. I mean, I'm taking this product and I really enjoy it myself. So I'm firmly a huge believer of this. And then if we go back to just some aspects of it, technically speaking. So I wanted to focus on this from like a Cage infrastructure because Nicolas Cage is my favorite actor. And so the monitoring that we used is WAN-DB. And then from there, we used LangChain and Chainlit. And I like the idea that Nicolas Cage is hugging a cat named Tavilly. And so Tavilly is a web search that I used. And then the hugging face is, of course, Nicolas Cage. It was, of course, like the platform that was used. And from there, we also have the vector store, which was face. And if we look all together at all the infrastructure, we have the embedding model being the text embedding, and the evaluation was Fragus. And so one thing you're probably asking is, why can't you just use ChatGPT? And so GPT itself is very general. And what I did when I was training the data is that I use very specialized data. So I'm like in the middle of studying like my certification to be a Pilates instructor. And so based off of that, I put in different instructional books and then also some PT manuals, just because I think that PT manuals tend to have quite a lot in regards to like anatomy. And so that's something that you're not going to find on regular GPT. And in addition, there's so much I want to improve on. So technically speaking, I want to do a form analyzer that uses computer vision. And this is something that I've been trying to work on for quite some time, but it just wasn't working. I was using OpenCV and MediaPipe just to give feedback on posture and body alignment. And so the idea is that the individual would get the workout and then they would do the workout and upload that video and then get personalized feedback from GPT and workouts based off of that. And then another thing was an image generator for exercises. And so taking the same exercises that it gave us, it would also output the exercises or a picture of each, like, so for an example, cat cow, it would give an example of the cat and then the cow. And then the other one is I'd like to do more of a voice to text as well. So this would allow the user to just talk instead of just typing it out. And then also I want to move over from like Hugging Face to Vercel. So I'm looking into that. And perhaps I just think that would be a better UI entirely. So that's definitely something I want to focus on. And then you're probably wondering, okay, what about people who are not people who are in reformer classes? And so I'd like to expand the marketplace to people who want to try reformer, but they're intimidated just because I really believe that it's helpful for everyone from like the spine and the core. And I definitely want to make just reformer as accessible as possible and not clicky like the plastics. And so what I want to do is I want to probably just survey random people. Like I talked to two people at the coffee store just waiting in line. And so I like to just talk to more random people and see what they say, or perhaps like do a just random survey. But I'm still trying to figure that aspect out. But I think overall, the audience that this app is really looking at is very niche, individuals who are in Pilates or interested in Pilates. And it's quite practical for them because it sort of focuses on the aspects of form modification. It focuses on let's see, form modification, the appropriateness as well as instruction too. And so we're going to continue to change the app as the feedback continues. And with all of that, thank you so much for watching and or listening to me talk about reformer Pilates.